Okay, okay. Good day to all. Good day to all. Okay. So I'm just kind of letting it marinate a little bit. I'm just kind of letting the sound just kind of come through right now, right? Like getting myself in my total vibe. But glad you guys are here with me today, obviously, right? All right, let me just get to my I just like to be able to monitor my chat. Sorry about that. All right. So today, just to kind of get it going, I was going to talk to you guys about entropy. Like, man, this is a crazy route. Let me get this recording here because I'm gonna want to preserve this conversation. Okay, this is kind of a crazy route on how I came. Get back there. Where are you? Okay, you're supposed to be here. Okay, that's a problem there. Okay. How to get my screens kind of set up here. So this is kind of a crazy route. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Usually at night, I sit up. I take notes on topics I wanna that I wanna go over for videos, whether it's a book I'm reading or a book I'm reading or, a movie I watch, whatever it is. I get inspiration just from all kinds of stuff, right? And I don't have an issue with it. That's kind of just what my process is. But I do keep like a steady notebook. I keep a notebook of stuff that I'm intending to get to, and I kind of go through my notebook later and I'm like, have I talked about this topic or do I want to come back to this topic, right? So last night, I was just listening to this book I got. I do a lot of straight up audiobooks. Like I love audiobooks. Like I have a wood shed, right? Like I have a legitimate wood shed, right? And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I love working in my shed. I love doing stuff with my hands, right? And I got a gang of tools, guys. A lot of stuff I inherited. So like one of my favorite pastimes, like when I want to just kind of de-stress or something like that, like I go work in my shed, right? Like I got a full on bench. So I'll go down there and I'll build something. I do all kinds of stuff. Like planter boxes. I'm kind of restoring some wood and stuff right now. I'm restoring some tools, right? So I stay up on audiobooks, man, because it's just the easiest way to me to like, get some information, hear a story. So like this last week, I was like, yeah, I kind of need to make sure, I like to read a science book. I read a lot of mythology books, obviously. I read a lot of history books. Like I love history books, in kind of like very encyclopedia format, right? But I do science books as well. So I'm doing this Brian Greene book right now, and it's the fabric of the cosmos. Like I don't know how long ago he authored this book. This may be a little ways back, right? I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to check on this, right? But he comes to this point where he's talking about time. Like it's a fabric in the universe. So of course he's talking about time, and he's talking about time like how do we view time? Like maybe the way that we understand time is partially based on what our understanding or our viewpoint of time is. And that one day there's going to be some really bright person who sees time in a completely different way, right? And that person will probably make some breakthroughs in understanding time. But the one thing that I left out of this, right? Like the one thing I pulled out of this is that we don't know anything about time. We know that time exists, but beyond that, we really don't know much about time, right? And here's the one thing that we do know. The one thing that out of all of this, out of everything that we think we know, like this is the important thing, man. Time itself has a fucking direction, right? Time has a direction, right? Now, the crucial part of this is time as a direction isn't measurable in any way. Theoretically, physically, and there's no way that they can quantify that if you ran the equations like the way that you would talk about gravity or any of the other natural forces, if you apply it to time, none of it makes any sense, right? Like, but time has a direction. Time is going a very specific way, and it can only go a specific way, right? Even with us internally, like, right, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can remember the past, but you can't remember the future, right? So right off the bat, they're not the same things. They're not the same things. Like the past is quantifiable, very specific information, right? The future is some unknown potential that pulls from wherever. I don't know. You don't know either, right? So there is a difference between the past and the future. Fundamentally, what they are, okay? And time itself has chosen what path that we walk, right? Like, think about events only happen in certain sequences, right? Like, when you get a new car, right? That car is only new one time, right? It's only new then. It's never newer later. It gets more trash later, right? It gets dirtier later. It gets smellier later, right? It gets all its stuffier later, right? Because that's the progression of time itself. Time moves in one direction, right? This is the arrow, and the arrow of time. The shot collar for time is entropy, right? Entropy this thing, like this is kind of the whole thing about it. When the universe was very, very early on and we're just at the bones, this is where creation had begun. Fire from darkness, right? All this stuff awakened just cosmic law. And right off the bat was entropy, man. Entropy is the outside decay of any kind of system. Anything that happens, right? It's the reason that your t-shirts get dingy over time. It's the reason that athletes peak and have a crest, right? Over time. It's aging itself, right? It's from the first thing that ever existed, you were aging as soon as you dropped off, right? As soon as you got there, you were already rotting. Like the first apple, right? I don't care what stage you got it in, it's never as fresh as when it first came off that vine, right? That's entropy. Entropy is constantly working because what entropy does is entropy decided for everybody on the scene which way time would roll. Entropy said that time goes this way and only this way. And I am the measurable truth of this, right? Like time is silent. Entropy talks a lot of trash, right? Entropy is that. Entropy is the reason why that 1972 Chrysler doesn't look the same anymore. It's oxidation. It's rust. It's air. Like we try to seal things off from air because even interacting with air is a place for entropy or change or degradation enters in. So this is where entropy is. This is what physics calls it. But in mythology, they gave it a lot of different, a lot of different faces. Like we're going to see the faces of entropy. And I talked about this before, but it's like the entropy, like it's so much more powerful knowing that entropy is telling us that time only has one direction. If you think you can go back and and you can travel back and forth in time, you can't. They're fundamentally not the same things. One, you something, entropy calls chaos, right? Entropy tells chaos that you just built something, right? And now it's time to go inject some chaos. Chaos can be dirt. Chaos can be parts that wobble out of place. Like all these things can be chaotic, right? Are parts of entropy, right? The rock, right? And waits for this is deep, deep, deep in Kemetic belief systems. This is one of their oldest stories. Like this story has been around since like 1500 BCE. And Apep has always taken a major or central position in Ra's nightly journey. So one of the biggest stories that come out of Egyptian or Kemetic belief, he's right at the heart about it, man. You can't talk about Ra. You can't talk about the sun god without talking about Apep. This is bad. This is the Joker. This is Apep's Joker. For you guys that want to get it in like actual alignment, that's who he is. This is Apep's Joker. We've been taught he's in all the book of Gates, the funerary text about Duat. He doesn't just like Ra. Like you see Ra, he's working all day. He's outside right now, right? Ra's outside right now. He's working hard all day. It's probably like for me, it's noon right here. He's just kind of starting to get up to his apex point, right? He's shining down on Louisiana, right? Like making it hot outside, right? He's working for us all day long. He's gonna, then about 4:30, 5 o'clock, he's like, all right, I'm gonna break it in, starts coming on down, right? He's off for the day, right? After giving us life, literally allowing us to set our watches and have good gravity and seasons and all that stuff. After that, you think he'd be done. But wrong, wrong. He's not done. Like you watch Raw, he's like, yeah, so what happens now, Raw? Are you just gonna go home, blaze one, and like chill out till tomorrow? He's like, no, I'm gonna go into the underworld and hope that this giant snake doesn't kill me. Every single night. Every night, you're like, I'm gonna go into the underworld and hope this giant snake doesn't kill me. And you're like, what? Understand how important Apep is, how important Ra is. Do you need some help? I got plenty of help. Don't worry about it. You wouldn't be able to live through it anyway. But he's got plenty of help. And I mean like everybody. Bastet, Set, like Hathor, everybody gets in on protecting him because if he doesn't make it, if he don't rise, we don't rise, right? That's the whole thing. But Apep is always in that darkness, man. Apep is every time he goes in there, Apep's like in the darkness with like a bat. Like, man, I'm gonna catch you today, man. We know what's gonna happen every day. This is literally like it's crazy because from the start of the universe, the first thing that ever happened in the universe was beef on site, right? As soon as Apep saw Ra and his punk ass coming over here trying to establish order and like regenerating life and all this stuff, he was like, I'm not having it. I hate that dude right there. And he said it with his whole chest, right? Apep said it like that, man. I hate this dude with everything I got. And like, you know what? Like, look, I'm tired of it, so I'm attacking you every single day. He is like that seeking to consume time, right? Like this is the entropy that goes along with the passage of time comes this eternal like attack, right? Like he gets defeated, but he's never gone. He's always there. He's restrained, but yeah, this is the attack that's on time every single day. It's spiritual. And here's the thing. This dude Apep manifests right now in this actual world. Like there's a dude that's on death row right now for like 4 murders, right? Because he said he was down there working for he was a disciple of Apep, right? Like literally, like I'm not joking. So this is the energy. Ra is the energy that is renewing the world. Ma'at is the organizing principle of that, and Apep himself is always the pattern that's trying to seek to disrupt it, right? To add friction into the system to bring the system down. This is like the shadow of entropy, right? So we see this now. The Norse also told this. The Norse told it a little different way. Okay, and this is a great story, man, because this is the Fenrir wolf. Like the Fenrir wolf and these 3 creatures are like the cosmic cycle breakers in Norse mythology. It's a crazy story, right? Because you all know Fenrir, right? Like Fenrir, when you see this dude, it's gonna be a problem. Like no one talks about how fierce of a beast this is, right? We don't like even the Norse are like, there's nothing they can do about it. Okay, Fenrir is like, I am inevitability. He is. I am going to eat you, right? He said that was it. It wasn't like hype or anything like that. I'm gonna eat you, and he's going to eat you. Odin knows that he's gonna eat him, dude. No, Odin actually skipped to the end of the book, right? Odin skipped to the end of the book, and the end of the book, and then Fenrir devoured Odin. So he already knows what's going to happen. And you know who else also skipped to the end of the book? Fenrir. He didn't even read the rest of the book, right? Fenrir, that's why he got tricked and tied up, because he knew that part was getting ready to happen, right? He skipped to the end of it, and he saw the part, and Fenrir hath devoured Odin. So both of them already know. What it's called is inevitability, right? Inevitability. And watch how they treat him. Right from early on, Odin. Now think about it. Nobody else knows the end of the book except for Odin and this guy. So when Fenrir is born, he's like, "Look, we got to tie this. We got to tie this guy up, right? Like he hadn't done anything at that point. We got to tie this guy up." So they trick him. There's a whole myth about like some magical thread. I think there's like some magical thread or magical wire, and they give it to, I don't know who they give it to, but the war god has to put his hand in Fenrir's mouth, right? And he's like, "Oh no, we're not going to tie you up permanently. Just I'll put my hand in your mouth," knowing that these guys are going to tie him up, right? So they tie him up, and as soon as Fenrir realizes that they tied him up, he bites his hand off, right? But it's important because they're like, we have to bind this fool. We cannot have this giant this giant wolf just running around doing whatever he wants. So they bind him up, even though it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because it's inevitability. He ends the cosmos. Like symbolically, he devours Odin. Once the Odin force is gone, he is devouring, right? Creation. Per the Norse, he is devouring that energy. And that's how he's told. Like, and it's all the siblings. So Loki births all these. All this cosmic ending, time consuming, comes from Odin, primarily in Fenrir, but also the giant snake and also Hel, right? So choose over the dead there. And so all of this is a plan that is going to happen. Ragnarok happens. It doesn't matter what you guys do about it, right? That's the whole thing, right? Everything that the Valkyrie are doing, it don't even matter, right? It doesn't even matter. You guys are going to win the first 85,000 battles, and they're going to win the last one. And that's going to be it. You're not going to get to run it back. You do get to run it back, but you got kicked off the court, right? So you might beat them 85 straight times, but then, yeah, they're going to take one, and they're going to kick you off the court, and then some new Asgardians are going to be on the court. So it goes on, right? You get kicked off the court, but now your grandkids get to run it, right? Like, get out of the way, old man, right? So that's kind of what it is. So this is kind of what it is. It is a story about Fenrir, like he manifests like the devouring of time itself, right? I'm gonna eat you, Odin. So this is it. So they create this, like, the whole myth, and it's a deep myth. It's about this ribbon, man, and this ribbon is like, man, how do they describe this ribbon, right? Like, I had to pull this up. Thank you. It is the sound of a cat's footsteps. It is a woman's beard. It is the roots of a mountain, the sinew of a boar, the breath of a fish, the spittle of a bird. That's what this Glypnir is, right? This thread. So, and it can't be broken. This is the finest craftsmanship, right? This is magical craftsmanship to bind this wolf together. And like I said, Tyr, who is like, I am the the war god. Like, Thor wasn't the war god. Obviously, Thor was a hero god, but they had Tyr, right? Tyr, and he was like, yeah, I'm the war god around here. I'm actually the bravest dude here. And it's like, it wasn't even brave. Like, you know what's going to happen. This isn't like, I think, right? He's going to bite your hand off because we are binding him. So he pays that price, and it was worth it. And it was worth it. So you have this imprisonment. And remember, they imprison Loki too. They imprison Loki, and the serpents are like at him. All this stuff. It is inevitable because when Ragnarok hits here, like, here comes everybody, right? Here comes everybody. So the wolf wins. He fulfills his prophecy. That's why he's always got his mouth open. He's not just a mouth breather. I mean, like, he probably is a mouth breather, but okay. He's breathing with his mouth open because I'm ready to start biting and putting some people all up in my mouth, right? So this is that inevitability. This is that time consuming. All three of these work together. Like, and he's identified. Now this is what I didn't know, man. Okay, Fenrir, how'd this guy get out of jail long enough? But he has two sons, and these are wolves. Oh, yeah, I did hear about this myth, man. Click, right? So mythology just clicked for me, right? In my notes. There is a story. It is Skull and it is Hati or Hati. I'm not sure. These are Norse names, okay? So all Germanic people, if you got me on this one, like this is a story about these two wolves and they pursue the sun and the moon. And I had heard this, man, and it seems like this is similar to somebody else's mythology too, man. Seems like it's true, but that's essentially what it is. So he has sons. I thought he was locked up this whole time. I thought he was bound up in wire until Ragnarok. Like how was he making kids? But hey, look, life finds a way, right? So he finds a way. He probably had somebody, on the outside that was writing him letters, came see him, put some on his commissary and had conjugals, right? So he got to make his kids too. And his sons, they were called the brood, excuse me, the brood of Fenrir, right? And they had a specific role in this. Is all they were pursuing celestial light. If that wasn't going after order, I don't know what is, right? They're hunting them down, right? And this is the thing, like, man, real talk, nothing represents inevitability than a wolf pack. Being hunted by a wolf is all about inevitability. Yours, right? Like the entire wolf, they're using time against you. We know that we can keep on running. You can't. They don't care who they're up against. We're just going to keep on chasing you because inevitability, right? Entropy, your entropy, right? The entropy in your muscles, right? And your fatigue, and you're getting tired of this shit, and you're tired of 6 wolves that have been chasing you relentlessly. And every time they get close, you turn around, you swing at them, and you burn up more energy, and they just get out of the way. They don't even want to fight you head up. They won't. But as soon as you start running, they're right back on you, right? Entropy, right? That is why the wolves are used for that symbolism, because they will hunt you down. Like in real life, man. In real life, if you're ever out in the wild and look around and realize there's a pack of wolves hunting you, you better try to get into a fight with the leader as quickly as possible. You better find out the pack leader and challenge him to a fight. That's the only way. You got to go mano a mano against him too. That's the only way you're getting out, because if they're hunting you and you can't get to safety, they're going to kill you. Because you're going to get tired. They know what they're doing, man. They start nibbling at you. Like a wolf pack is the most, man, that is the greatest symbolism of entropy, man. Understanding entropy, right? You might start off fresh, man, but the wolf looked at you and like, yeah, he's carrying a little extra weight there, right? He looks like he's a little, not right in his prime, right? All that entropy, they're calculating as they're getting after you. So that's the wolf story. Like, this is the story. He's not like a god of entropy. He doesn't represent entropy, but he represents a manifestation. Like the wolf itself. Now that I really think about like what the association of it was, I never thought about Fenrir in that regard, that he was the inevitability that was chasing Odin down. Like no matter what, you keep running, you can keep on a knocking, but you can't come in. It was inevitably, I will chase that ass down. And they're hunting down the celestial powers too. You can see them on both ends of it, man. I'm chasing down the sun. I'm chasing down the moon. Guys, we need to stick together against this, right? But there's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do. There's a cost for it, and when it gets there, man, you just have to deal with it, man. This is the inevitability that they were showing you in Norse mythology, right? It's just pure inevitability. Love's gonna get that song. Love's gonna get you. Wolves are gonna get you, right? Eventually, like I know we'll be cheering for them we're watching the wilderness, but it's jacked up when you're that elk, right, or that deer. That they're inevitably hunting you down, hunting you down, running. But hey, it has to be. Now they also showed us some more very enlightened opportunities at entropy right in their mythology early on, right? And that is this decay, right? Now, Nidhogger, right? I'm not quite sure how that would be said, but this is literally from Norse mythology. This is the decay that is under the tree of life, right? So you have the tree of life, and everybody focuses on, man, we got this awesome tree and it's alive, right? But underneath there, like immediately, this dragon is down there trying to chew it up. right? It's literally attacking the roots, right? It is attacking the roots of the tree, right? So this is decay. This is the parallel. This is significant because the tree of life itself is not immune to the idea of entropy. You're never new again. You're never new. I mean, instantly. And it's does he eventually um start to outpace, right? Like you're constantly under attack. So this is going back to that whole tradition. And this story, this is another old one here, right? This story goes all the way back to the Poetic Edda, right? Poetic Edda, right? I think it's supposed to say, and the Codex Regius. Now this was written down supposedly around 1270. This is in a whole group of poems that are an older oral traditions that they did painstakingly keep going on. So they did keep these stories around. So I'm hitting on some old mythology that tells us about this, and you'll see it in a couple. There's the Volt Spa, the Vault or the prophecy of the seers. That this happens around the 10th century, and they're like these are where these concepts are kind of first documented, right? So we got a lot of documentation, right? The Prose Edda, written around 1220, it put a lot of these poems in order, right? So this is when they really start to take shape. But obviously the poems are older than that. It took a lot of work for them to get all this stuff down here. But for this like creature, right? The names kind of have some weird associations because that first part might mean like disgrace or disorder or malicious conduct, but some other translations call him the malice striker. Like, I love these names, man. None of my friends call me any cool names. Like, that's what I want. I want a really cool nickname like the malice striker or the curse striker or striker in dishonor or the one who strikes maliciously, right? Like, that's a cold-blooded name. One who strikes maliciously. I mean, I would love that kind of name. Like, who is that? That's the one who strikes maliciously, right? That is the curse striker. So these are the names that he got. Corpse Eater, right? This is another name. This is another explanation of him. Corpse Eater, right? And there's a lot that goes to it. But what we see is that the tree itself, the most sacred component in the belief system, the tree itself is alive, but it's not invulnerable. It itself, like the source itself, is 100% vulnerable. So you see in this caption here where it's like at those roots, man. It's like hogging down on these roots. Hello, Yorkshire Terrier. Yorkshire Terrier. Man, oh no, my grandmother used to raise silky terriers, right? So I have some experience with silky terriers. But thank you for stopping in here. Definitely appreciate you, right? So this world tree is constantly under attack. And we don't even talk about it. None of the stories are about preserving, right, the tree at all. The tree of life itself. Life itself is under attack. That's exactly what they show us here. This is like the map to the cosmos. Everything that connects us and everybody else. This is our meeting place. This is our structure. This is our symbol of our continuity. And at the bottom of them is a giant dragon who just having at the roots, man. Just constantly. He's growing new roots, but obviously oh, welcome in from Germany. So what I'm talking about is entropy, right? Like entropy itself and how it's related to time, right? So it makes time have a direction. Time only goes this way, and how a lot of mythology has kind of worked that same thing, right? Like the inevitability of systems breaking down. And that's what we see. And I was just talking about, in a couple of examples in Norse mythology, but I got a couple of more. I'm just getting heated. And welcome from Germany, by the way. That's really awesome, by the way. So we see this, right? So they're attacking the roots, like we know this is continual. It's all the time, right? And this is where like you said, the thing with Ragnarok is the inevitability of it. Even when they restrain him, right? It's just gonna happen eventually. So that's both ends of it. Anyway. Okay, this is another one here. This is another more well, I'm not I mean all of them are religions, right? Like I'm going to talk about a lot of religions like I kind of mix. We're going to talk about some religions. Okay. Okay, guys, look. We're going to talk about some religions and we might talk about some comic books. It is what it is right now, right? We're going to talk about some movies. We're going to talk about some sacred texts, right? It all kind of matters, kind of what we're getting to, right? So it's not religion. Like for me, it's not a religion. It's just kind of what we do every day, right? Just gather here and speak on it, right? But looking at people's religions, looking at people, what people write down, like what are you writing down and why are you writing about that stuff, right? And I'm just saying, in this case, we've seen a lot of people talk about the concept of entropy, right? And I'm just saying, like, for me as a source material, nothing's better than what we wrote in antiquities. Okay, so this is another one here, like Kala. This is again coming from Hindu belief systems. This is a very powerful metaphor of entropy as stars are the consumed fuel at the end of times. This is called the great time, the great death. This goes way, way, way back. This is Sanskrit, right? Like kala has some overlapping meanings, like time. It means a appointed moment. It means fate or destiny. It can be death. All this stuff is not accidental in this whole cosmology. And this cosmology believes a lot that stuff has to end, right? Like from the beginning, you're constantly facing all the conditions of it. It's not accidental, right? This is the process by my face gets lines in it over time. Like I don't look the same as I did when I was just born, right? That's entropy, right? This is the force that makes mountains erode. It's why civilization reaches a peak and then declines, right? It's the inevitability. Time is always going in one direction, no matter what we try to say. Nothing ever gets better, right? Nothing ever gets better. Something's always changing. Like that new car is never going to be newer than this, right? I'm never fresh. Like I just took a shower like right before I started this, right? And I'm not as fresh right now as I was when I first got out of the shower. So we're always seeing these representations, and usually it's this, right? Now this is Vedic, right? Okay, so this one goes all the way back to like the Athara Veda, right? And it represents time as a primordial cosmic power. It imagines time. Okay, this is it. This is a good part right here. Okay. It imagines time as an ageless cosmic force with seven rains and 1,000 eyes. All the worlds are wheels. The wise seek to mount it. Time moves through the universe while carrying or containing creation itself, right? That's a hell of an image to think about time in that way. It associates Kala with the production and organization of existence. Mind, breath, name, world, and sacred knowledges are all gathered within time. Time is not presented only as the enemy that destroys creation, it is also the condition through which time, creation itself exists. Time and creation, or time and space, like these are the two, and it just so happens that you're gonna be, you're gonna ultimately atrophy. This is organization, growth, maturation, transformation, decline, dissolution, and renewal, right? A seed becomes a tree through time. That same tree ages and falls through time, right? It is decomposition that nourishes other forms that also enter the cycle. So every part of it, including the entropy part, is crucial. It is crucial. If any part of that we reverse, we this entire system, we'd mess this entire system up, right? If fruits, like I hated that fruits, you get some fruit and like, damn, why is this fruit expire so fast, right? I want to eat it, I want to consume it first. But that is the passage of entropy. Like we're fighting everything to stop entropy, right? Like constantly, 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 right? And Krishna reveals himself to have components in this as well, right? And like it's a Bhagavad Gita, which they dictate way back to like the final centuries, like first century CE, right? The opposing armies response. He reveals his universal form. No longer sees Krishna merely as a charioteer beside him. He sees a cosmic being containing countless faces, eyes, mouths, gods, world, and blazing power. The assembled warriors rush into the divine mouth as rivers flow toward the ocean or insects into the flame. This is an amazing piece of literature here, right? And he declares that I am time. Listen to this. Okay. This is him speaking, man. This is Kala, right? I am time grown mighty, the destroyer of worlds. Man, talk about a quote. Can you imagine saying something like that with sheer confidence? Right? This is what would give rise to that whole like supposed Oppenheimer quote, right? Now I am death, now I am become death, right? That's where they get it from. It comes from this. I am time grown mighty, the destroyer of worlds. He's not now this isn't him identifying himself merely as a weapon. He identifies himself with the cosmic process through which like the appointed end has already arrived. That's the future of it. That's the power of it. In essence, what Krishna is telling you is the death that you fear is already embedded in time itself. You are not the creator of mortality. You are acting inside of a universe in which these embodied beings cannot escape this level of transformation. This feels unsettling that we start to experience time from outside of the human perspective. In this story, this is a Ranju. He sees the future as if it were already present. What human beings experience sequentially. This is what we get. This is our passage of time. We are birth. We are choice. We are battle. We are death. We are the universal forms always appear in the sequence. So we're not really waiting for the end. The end is already contained. In what we are, we contain both our beginning and we contain our end already. Though there are inevitabilities. The how, the exact when, those are the things that we have to navigate. That's where the destroyer has to be there. Like we have to contribute per this belief system what we are so that the next future can rise. Like and lots of belief systems believe that. Even go to like man, I think it was like Aztec, where like there's we're like 9 different worlds. Every new world stacked on top of these 9 different worlds, right? So there's a lot that goes into that. That as the destroyer, and that symbolism, man, like we see that like that's at the height of it, right? So that's the Buddhist take on it. And again, it does kind of establish like the kind of the same thing that inevitably, time moves in one direction and it is arrangement. There is an inevitability of it. And although there's no physics to it, clearly we can see that 100% this is what happens. Like we know the path of everything. None of us are surprised when you walk into a kitchen and that apple you bought doesn't look as crisp as it did 2 days ago, right? It doesn't. Like it's softer, right? If all of a sudden it got fresher, that's when you'd be surprised. So that just shows you like time moves it the way time wants to move. All the what we say about it math wise, we can't say anything against it, right? Because this is how it moves. And the other story, like I know everybody here knows that Greek mythology, like Kronos and Kronos, right, are two guys obviously that come out of that same myth. One represents the principle of time itself and his inevitability, right? Like this is the principal force that moves forward. And Cronus, who was the one who was eating his children, they were distinctly different beings who were like one was the embodiment of time itself. The other was fighting off the inevitability of time, right? I'm eating that future generation. I'm consuming the future generation. I am literally eating the future, right? It's what he did, right? To continue the reign, of his own personal reign was I'm gonna eat these children up, right? Which is gross, right? Which is one of the worst, right? I mean, it's a metaphor, but we understand the idea of like fighting for immortality because that next generation, because he understands, like we see with fruit, like the fruit ripens, right, and it rots, but it deposits seed, and the seed gives birth to the next. Like it's an inevitable cycle. So if I can in that section of it, the you being born part of it, then I'm on my way. Like that's the first part is to stop the you being born part of it, right? And so that's what Kronos does. That's why he's always like, eating his kids. But the inevitable part, the thing that really stands out is, of course, they weren't able to stop it, right? That's the whole thing. It leads to the Titanomachy, and even with Zeus, like he was putting down a lot of his kids too, right? Athena had to come from his dome, right? She didn't come from being born like the other one. The one child that could actually challenge him, right? So Kronos is different, time is different, but they're all doing the same thing. Hesiod talks it about a lot. Like if you go back, okay, so where we first hear this story, just for historical context, so this is in the Theogony. This is Hesiod stuff. So this is the first mention of these gods. So this is like 700 BCE, and the Theogony is just a list of gods. It describes a lot of like how the generations merge, who comes from who, what fights went down. Gaia gives birth to Uranus. Together they make the Titans, the Cyclopses, the Hundred Handers. Uranus hates or fears some of his children and forces them back inside of Gaia, preventing them from coming into the world fully. She suffers under the pressure of her children trapped inside of her, and therefore produces a great sickle and asks her children to overcome their father. And they agree. Kronos agrees. And then when Uranus descends upon Gaia, Kronos attacks him with the sickle and castrates him. He cut off his right? And the separation between the earth and the sky opens up a space for the new cosmic order. So that's kind of a weird story, but it's the separation of those two that allow. So the son had to overwhelm the father. And then it breeds all these stories afterwards that would be successive stories of the ruler who fears the succession over him, right? Like the ruler who, like, so Kronos takes for a wife takes his sister Rhea for his consort, and they have a whole new generation of Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and of course Zeus. And Kronos learns from Gaia and Uranus that he was destined to be overthrown by one of his children, just like he had overthrown his pops, right? So exactly, you get what you give. So he was like, yeah, I ain't having it. I got something even better than you. I'm just going to swallow these bastards myself. So that's what he does. Every time she gives birth, he swallows the kid and keeps him in his belly, right? Get in my belly in a literal sense. He's not devouring the kids because he's hungry. He's consuming the future to protect the present. Like that's what he's fighting for. This again is a central theme in a lot of these stories. This inevitability that time brings this change. And that change oftentimes means your destruction, right? So he's trying to swallow him, but obviously, like Rhea is like, yeah, I ain't having it. She saves Zeus. In saving Zeus, that launched off a grand war called the Titanomachy. And this is a great conflict. This is one of the best god on god scraps of all time. One of the earliest ones depicted in the Greeks, where Zeus goes out and immediately releases the Cyclopses and the Hundred Hander. He's like, look, guys, I wouldn't do you guys like this. Why don't you come over and help me? And we'll go over there and jump them. And they were like, yeah, let's go for it and do it. So they did it. And this was a cosmic war that lasted for 10 years, which can't be much time for the gods who are immortal in the first place. But it took a little while, right? And finally they got through it, just like the prophecy said. And Kronos, had to step aside. Like he was defeated. The ruler, he was replaced. He does all these things. He's the successor survives, and it is inevitability again. So that's always this. Like Kronos is it's like this image. He's this political. We see that generationally with politics as well, like that need to consume. So this is kind of one of those consumers. Now, as the father of time itself, like Kronos, the father of time, Kronos, right, with the sickle cell, that dude really shows he is the progression. He is showing you entropy, right? Remember, he always starts off as a little baby. He always starts off as a little baby with a top hat on, and is ready to go at the New Year's, man. And what he finds out is that the year is rough, man. And that year takes that little child and it beats the hell out of him. So by the end of the year, he's old, right? This is the cycle, right? He's identifying his time. Like time and duration, all stuff will beat the hell out of you. So by the time he gets to the end of the year, now he's fine. He used to be baby New Year. You used to see him, you're like, yo, what up, baby New Year? And he was like, hey, baby New Year. Then like by like May, you're like, yeah, what up? Whatever your name is. And then by like July or June, you're like, yeah, what up, Father Time? Because he's got a beard now, he's kind of bent over, stuff like that. Father Time endures a beating because his entropy is on your ass the entire way, right? And even for him, it can only go one way. It can only go one way. This is the arrow of time. Based on entropy, you can only get old. You're never going to get younger. You can't rewind it that way. I know we want to rewind it that way, but you cannot rewind it that way. And that's how it is shown just throughout. Like time becomes madness, right? And some other stories like Goya, time becomes madness was a painting known as Saturn devouring his sons, right? It's on this very famous wall. And this is where he's explaining it. It identifies Saturn as being the tradition, right? It's a tradition of trying to stave off time, trying to stave off atrophy. It's time consuming youth, right? Old age destroying life. A father destroying the next generation. Nothing colder than that, right? Than the father destroying the next generation. Chronos and entropy. The ravages of time, right? Like cracks building, paint starts to fade, right? Your door handles get jacked up in your car. You start getting weak, you get old now, you get some gray hair in your goat, right? Like those are all the things that are constantly, and like even the gods are fighting against us, man. And we don't even have ambrosia. We don't have sacred ambrosia and whatever kind of mead that they have that's really good. And sometimes we still get some thought of entropy. Like there's still works out there. I think like if we look at it, like Asimov's work, particularly the last question, was like it's essentially like an entropy story. Like Asimov really wrote essentially like it's immense periods of human development, time. It's increasingly advanced computers are asked whether entropy can be reversed. Like that's the fundamental question, and the question survives humanity. Like this is the fundamental question: can intelligence defeat death that's built into the universe? So this is Asimov like way back in the day, kind of talking about that. If we look at like Doctor Who, like the 81 series, the Logolopolis, this had a whole like entropy as an explicit universal threat. And like the mathematicians are doing calculations and connections to other universe to delay universal decay. So when the system is disrupted, sections of the cosmos began disappearing. So this is 100% an entropy question here. Reality depends upon an ordered practice. That practice must be constantly performed. So continuity, order, it demands constant work. Galactus in Marvel Universe, that's what they're showing. He's not just entropy in scientific purpose, but he functions as a mythological approximation of the cosmic process, right? In order to keep the cosmic process going, he has to consume worlds. That's part of what like Galactus isn't just doing it just because he's hungry. He's also part of the process. Even Stephen King's story Langoliers, it's heavily that. It's sci-fi, it's kind of fantasy, but from a mythic standpoint, it's utter brilliance. If you want to get a good understanding of someone who can write, understand how entropy manifests, check that flick out right there. So I'm kind of showing you guys a couple of different ways that entropy or the arrow of time, as they call it, is like essentially locked into not only our modern scientific world, but also throughout mythology. They've shown us repeatedly time goes in one direction, right? You can't reverse it, you can't pull it back, you can't nothing to. So that's my hour or so for this one. But hit me up. I appreciate all the gifts and all the love and all the attendance. And I'm gonna do a little more research, and I'm gonna get some lunch right now. And I'll probably be back later on this afternoon.